Moving countries can be one of the most exciting and most challenging things you'll ever do. And we're here to take one big worry off your plate: your taxes. At Expat Taxes, we understand the complexities of Irish tax from your perspective as an expat and tailor our advice to your needs. With decades of expertise, our team at Expat Taxes will help you navigate tax residency, cross-border taxation, reliefs and returns, and will work with your country's tax advisor to make sure your taxes are sorted. Whether you're an individual or a corporation coming from Australia, the United States, the UK, or anywhere in the world, we want to help you. So visit us at expattaxes.ie to book a consultation today, and let's make moving to Ireland easier together.
Welcome to Tax Bytes for Expats, the top tax tips you want to know as an expat. The podcast is here to help answer the common queries and concerns expats have when moving to or from Ireland. Complex taxes explained simply. We'll focus on the Irish and international tax issues to be aware of to ensure you save time, money, and stress.
Thanks for joining us today for this episode of Tax Bytes for Expats. Today we are going to talk with Marcus Bailey, who is a client of ours, as he has navigated his move to Ireland. I know from having spoken to Marcus throughout the process, it's not been without challenge. And today we're hoping he'll give us some insight into what that's been like, the things he's learned, and I suppose the ultimate question being, has it all been worth it so far? So thank you so much, Marcus, for joining us. It's great to have you on, and thanks for giving us the time today to share your experience.
It's my pleasure, Stefan. Whatever I can do to help other immigrants, that's what I want to do today. I've watched some of your other podcasts. They were helpful to me, so it's my turn to give back.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Very kind. So maybe before we kind of kick off a little bit about what the experience of moving here has been like to date, tell us a little bit, Marcus, about, your background, why Ireland, where you were in the US. Tell us a story. What has the last few years looked like for you?
Yeah, well, I was in IT. I was an IT consultant for most of my career. We actually retired this summer, and that was, I didn't want to retire. I'll get to that in a moment, but why am I in Ireland? Well, I can tell you I've been visiting Ireland since 1995. I had a very spiritual experience when I stepped on the port in Dublin. It's very hard to describe what that feeling was, but I was almost on my knees and almost in tears. I was just overwhelmed, overcome, didn't know what was really happening. To me, it never felt that way before. That was the very first time I stepped foot in Ireland. And that feeling never left. And, many years later, Ireland just kept calling me home. I'll just say it that way. Not that there were, big issues in the U.S. It was just I felt really connected to Ireland in a spiritual way. And so that's really how this whole story started for me. I've been coming to Ireland probably every 2 years. I've seen most of the Irish state and even the northern parts of Northern Ireland, which is fantastic as well. When I got to spend more time in Ireland on longer trips, I found that the people were really inviting, and there's just a lot to see. Where my wife and I, Mara, lived in the US was in Seattle. The weather is kind of the same. It's very, very similar, although this past week, it was really windy here, around 50 mile an hour winds. We're currently renting a place in Kinsale, which is in Cork, which is the largest county in Ireland. So we are way down south on the Atlantic Ocean. And I really hadn't felt those kinds of winds since I was in Texas in 1981 and I survived Hurricane Alicia. I was in the eye of the storm. Stephanie, you wouldn't believe this. The eye of the storm, 170 miles an hour for me and
Wow.
all of my neighbors and everybody. And so 50-mile an hour winds, yeah, not too bad, I guess, compared to surviving a hurricane.
Yeah, but it's still quite severe weather. Yeah.
Yes, and I know that in some places in Cork and Waterford and Middleton and others, the Irish residents are still having difficulties with all of the flooding that happens. So, really feeling bad for them, and hopefully the government can help them out.
Yeah. I think though you're right. Like generally in Ireland, our weather is temperate. Those events do happen, but for us, the idea of a hurricane with 170 mile an hour wind is just like whoa. A 50-mile wind here is newsworthy, and I think that attracts people to Ireland if you can live with the fact that maybe we don't have 365 days of scorching sunshine. I don't really know anywhere that does have that apart from the Sahara Desert, but the weather here is it's not severe in any way most of the time. Have you found? It sounds like neither was Seattle. So I suppose the weather hasn't necessarily been a big shock. Then has it?
We are right at home here. It's been warmer here in County Cork than it has been in Washington State in Seattle. And talking to the locals, and that's one of the things that I would say to folks when you arrive here. I call it the rainbow country. It's not the rain country. It's the Emerald Isle, but there's rainbows almost every day. It's unbelievable, double rainbows, and they're very vibrant. It is just absolutely gorgeous and unbelievable to see those types of rainbows. It just really makes you feel extra special and in awe as well. Just to make sure that I answer your question about the weather, we're right at home here, and
Hmm.
the weather has been quite pleasant. And no, it doesn't rain. So for the listeners of this podcast, it doesn't rain every single day in Ireland. If that's what you have read or if that's what you've been told, uh, I can tell you not just because I'm living here now, because of all of the times that I've been here, it is not constant.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point because I think there is a little bit of a it's kind of a running joke. Oh, it rains all the time in Ireland. It rains a lot, but it doesn't rain all the time. And I think one of the things that there's pros and cons to every place. I know when we lived in Australia, I used to love the autumn days would be really sunny and the sky was blue. One of the things we have in Ireland that you don't get everywhere else in the world, even in sunny locations, is the really long evenings in the summertime.
Mm.
So, in summer, if we have a nice run, you can have literally 14, 15 hours of the day where it's bright. And it's just, it is great. You're right. We tend to sometimes buy into it always rains in Ireland. It does rain a lot, but not constantly. So I'm really glad, even though you haven't been here that long, that that's what you've surmised. Maybe then to kind of tell us a little bit about the decision to move here. You've obviously been coming here for some time. What has the journey and the decision, and I know some of it, so I'm interested to hear the distillation of it to this point. What has actually physically getting to Ireland been like? Are you guys broken? Has it been really tough?
Well, there were days and sometimes weeks where we weren't quite sure if we were going to make it. And let me talk about the immigration process just briefly. There the immigration team all over Ireland really has had a really tough go because of the war with Russia and Ukraine. And Ireland has been gracious to accept over 60,000 Ukrainians. And so the immigration system has been stressed. And when we started our application, our first application was October of last year. We knew that we were going to be in the queue, and the queues were getting longer. And so we were really wanting to be patient. But we made some mistakes, not because of immigration, but because of just not understanding what things meant. The
Mm-hmm.
Irish do speak English, but it's a different, some of the meanings are different. And so we essentially had to start over in April of this year. And that was kind of disappointing, right? So it took about
Mm.
11 months from beginning to end, from the time that we initially started the process to when we arrived on October the 2nd of this year. Normally, I think that process would take probably 4 to 5 months. Our situation was different, and everybody's situation is going to not be the same. I had two companies, Stephanie, as you know, that I had to sort out. So I
Mm-hmm.
had some additional complications. I had to step out of some roles. I had to essentially retire. The tax advice, though, that you had provided in the March April timeframe was pretty critical to help me to get sorted our budget, how we were going to be of independent means, and to be able to convince Irish immigration that we're just not coming here and to be a burden on the Irish welfare system. And that is a big deal. So yeah, it took about 11 months, and there were just a lot of things happening in the queue. It was hard. It was fun. It was a lot of different things, but hats off to Irish immigration because it's really tough.
Mm. There's been a lot of work for them, I imagine, based on what you said. If you were doing it again, what would you do differently? Did you use the services of an agent or did you go it alone?
Mostly alone,
Mm-hmm.
other than the expat services with you. We used an immigration attorney, and that was fine. The cost wasn't too much either. What I have found is, and this is a surprising thing, last week we had an interview with an immigration officer in one of the towns here in Cork, fingerprinted, asked a number of questions just to really verify what is your address, what's your mother's maiden name, all of
Mm.
the identity proofing that they do. Then we get to the end, and it's $300 per person. So I was surprised to hear that the particular visa that we are on, which is a retirement visa, has to be renewed every year. I'm going, well, let me say, that's where to get to naturalization is going to take 5 years. How much is this really going to
Yeah.
cost? So the point of that is you need to budget for the long term, not just the short term. It has taken much longer to get a bank account here is one of the surprise. It was something that I heard that there was a some challenges, but now that I've experienced it, and a lot of it has to do with you have to complete the immigration process and receive an Irish resident permit. That's a really critical document. It's probably the most critical when it comes to opening a bank account and really being authorized to live in Ireland. It's not a driver's license, it's really a proof that you are here legally within the Irish state. So sometimes people get that a little bit confused.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we have that number, I am able to open up a bank account. Here's a tip for the listeners. You don't need to bring a lot of cash or traveler's checks or anything like that when you make your one-way ticket to arrive in Ireland. Uh, Really, what I found is the Irish technology is just as good as what we had in America.
Hmm.
I use my smartphone for groceries, for restaurants. We have bus passes that are really easy to use so that we can actually get
Hmm.
around. There are ATM machines. So if you do want to take out some cash, that is available to you as well. But
Hmm.
don't bring thousands and thousands of dollars in your purse or your wallet to Ireland. You really don't need to do that.
Yeah, totally. Can you use a Google Pay and
Yes.
yeah, so if you have that on your phone from the US, it works here. Like we use that everywhere now and it's so useful. We use it right across Europe. So really you're getting to the point where your phone is like your mobile card that you can just tap in any place, most places that you go. Okay, that's interesting.
Apple Pay, Google Pay, it all works great here.
And it's instant, isn't it? It's so useful. Can you remind me, Marcus? I have a feeling you've told me, but apologies, I can't remember. Have you guys bought a house, or did you rent when you got here in October?
Oh yeah, so housing was something that Mara was really stressed out about. She's been stressed out about housing because she
No.
had been reading in the Irish Times and the Irish Independent and the Irish Examiner and all of the Irish newspapers that there are not enough houses for people who want to purchase a house. Now that could be an apartment, it could be a standalone bungalow house. It could be a terrace house. It could be a lot of different things depending upon your situation. We sold our house. We sold our cars. We sold everything. When we got on the flight, we had a total of 6 bags between us.
Wow.
That was it. Now, we had to have some things shipped to us in boxes, books and posters and pictures and things like that. Here's a little tip for the listeners. This is something that we just learned just yesterday. When you are shipping boxes, even if you say they're clothes or they're gifts or whatever, there is an EU customs charge that must be paid before customs won't release those boxes until that is paid. The good thing is that Mara was able to pay that online with a credit card. Credit cards also. You can use them everywhere here in Ireland. I think I've only had 2 occasions where I've ever needed cash. Okay, so we sold the house. We were in an Airbnb for about 6 days only, which was a thrill for us because we were thinking we were going to have to stay in the Airbnb for months. So as it turned out, we're on all the different websites for letting here in Ireland. And like almost every other hour, we're getting alerts and we're catching the bus or we're walking to the places to do a walkthrough.
Hmm.
Our intention was always to rent an apartment or a house for a year and then figure out where we want to buy or
Hmm.
build. And so, we are now, into that second month and it's going really well. We were able to find a house and signed a lease and move out of the Airbnb within 7 days. It was very quick. We were surprised.
That's amazing. Was there competition for the house? Did you have to go up against other people who wanted it?
Well, so since we're letting it for a year, there there wasn't much, and I think part of it is being in Kinsale, which is kind of like the jewel of
Mm.
Ireland. I think is at a higher price point that most
Yes.
people can't handle in their budget. And, it's a nice place. Kinsale's a great town. We
Kinsale
love
is
living
beautiful.
here. But there's lots of great places. There's great places in Waterford, in Wexford,
Hmm.
and in Killarney. There's great places all over. It just depends on what is most important to you.
Hmm.
So here's something that we learn that I can share. We as we're continuing our home search, we've been talking to a number of the real estate agents and also mortgage folks. So one of the things that we did a lot in America was we paid attention to our credit. Well, we want to establish credit history here in Ireland as well. And we thought the best way to do that would be is to get a home mortgage.
Hmm.
Well, that option really is not available to retirees.
Hmm. Yeah.
Banks in Ireland will not loan you money for a mortgage unless you have income from work or from a pension.
Hmm.
And we're retired, so we're not working, and it will be at least another 5 to 6 years before we draw any money from our pension. So we're just living off of the savings that we've accrued. So that's a bit of a disappointment. I mean, we didn't want to take the proceeds from our home sale in America and just put it all into a
Hmm.
brand new house in Ireland because we like that liquidity.
Yes, it's flexibility, isn't it? Yeah. So, okay, this is something that has come up before, and I think there's sometimes such differences between maybe Ireland and the US and Ireland and any other country around owning a home generally, buying a home, land law, conveyancing, the process, obtaining a mortgage. And I think you raise a very valid point is that really what you're saying is don't assume that what you're used to holds because rules and situations and banks operate differently everywhere. I really hope that's not going to mean that you guys are unable to buy a house. I'm sure, given the persistence you've demonstrated to get this far, that you're going to be able to find the home of your dreams in due course. I'm confident you will, notwithstanding the fact that getting a mortgage is not easy. One of the things that we say to clients is that it is always worthwhile talking to brokers who have experience dealing with expats, simply because they sometimes deal with banks that can provide, alternatives to what the retail banks may offer. And I suppose one of the people we've spoken to on the podcast previously is Paul at Top Mortgages. I'm not sure if you've spoken to him, Marcus, but he works with a lot of expats. He can't work magic, but he definitely can tell you what you can and can't get. So we'll watch this space for you guys and see where that goes. But it sounds like that part of Ireland is really where your heart is at the moment. It's early days. Do you feel any regret so far?
Oh, coming to Ireland, absolutely no regrets. And it's a different country, right? And making assumptions is really going to get you in a lot of trouble, right? It's not bad, it's just different, right? And you just have to educate yourself and you have to be open to learning a different way of doing things. Wire transfers, how those are handled, housing, how that's handled. Transportation is very, very good here. We bought a Leap card and we're able to top it up with with money, and we can get from Kinsale to Cork City in about 25 minutes. It's really not that bad at all.
Hmm.
One of the challenges that we're facing right now, though, is the process of obtaining a full Irish driver's license.
Oh yes, this old chestnut. Yeah, for you guys, it's not as straightforward, is it? After a year.
It is not. And I remember, Stephanie, I think you shared with me that the US driver's license is good for 12 months from the time
Mm.
that you arrive in Ireland. Well, the process, again, it's not a bad process. It's there because the Road Safety Administration, the RSA here in Ireland, has these rules in place for a reason, for the safety of all of the drivers on the road. Well, there are some prerequisite things that you have to do. For example, you need to have a public service card. That's also known
Mm-hmm.
as the PPS number. So for the American folks, that's like the your Social Security number. Gives you access to a lot of different things. You also need to have the Irish residency permit. You have to have a place that you are renting. You have to have documentation. You need to upload your visa. You need to do a lot of things before you can actually sit for the theory test to start the process to obtain a learner permit in Ireland. That whole process can take up to about 18 months. One of the things that I wanted to share with the listeners is Ireland has a driver's license exchange program. Unfortunately, the US is now one of those countries that they will exchange the license. So if you're coming from the UK, if you're coming from
Mm.
Australia, if you're coming from India, other places, if you're coming from the Ukraine, yes, they will just exchange the license.
Mm-hmm.
For expats coming from America, there is a much longer process. So you need to be patient. You need to get educated. You
Mm-hmm.
need to come up with a schedule of how you're actually going to sort it all out because the fines for a learner driver without an accompanying
Mm-hmm.
sponsor in the car are quite severe. And that's a good thing, actually.
Marcus, what does it mean practically? Because just doing the math there, you said you can drive for 12 months in Ireland, but it takes 18 months to get a license. Does that kind of mean you have.
It can take up to 18 months. And so uh, we're scheduled to take the theory test on Friday. So fingers
Oh,
crossed.
wow.
We're moving at lightning speed.
I would give you some tips if I could remember what's in it, but I can't. It's a
Oh
long
my,
time since I did
yeah, it is. Well, there's a mobile app that is available, and it has practice questions, it has practice exams. So we've been using that a lot. I don't want to tell you how many times we failed, uh, but we're getting better. And so, yeah, if it turns out that I'm unsuccessful with passing the theory test, and it does take 18 months. I'm hoping that there is a extension that the Irish government will give slower learners.
It's no, honestly, Marcus, it's not going to happen. You'll be whizzing around Kinsale in a car before long. I can see it. I can see it. It's, I mean, look,
I
what.
love your confidence.
No, full confidence in you. Isn't it funny? I really think, and I probably overly think these things, but I really think that moving country strips you back. It strips you back to something where you're like, and Jenny, we interviewed her in the prior episode, and she was like, you're going through all these things, you're applying for a social security number. And she's like, you didn't do these things all together at once, and you certainly haven't done them for a long time. And I know even, on kind of an admin level, you have to go back to basics. If you're coming from the US, you're going back to basics. You're in doing your theory test with loads of 18-year-olds. You've been driving for years. What's it been like, I suppose, kind of, it's early days for you guys, making friends. How do you see that's going to pan out? Is that something that's going to be hard to kind of make a community for yourselves here? Or how have you found that so far?
Yeah, we're still working on that. This move to Ireland and all of the things that we've had to do. So we've been so preoccupied with immigration appointments, getting our PPS number, getting studying for the driver's license, getting into a place. We've been here now for about 6 weeks. So we've been going, 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 going.
Mm-hmm. There's no time to do anything else.
We live in in a community where everybody's lovely. The landlord, they moved to Clare, but they're going to come back once they uh, retire. They moved to County Clare, I think, to be closer to his wife's parents. I think maybe she
Hmm.
actually grew up there in County Clare, which is a lovely place as well. We just walking through the town past the friary, we're getting to know a lot of the locals, and they
Mm.
recognize us now. We do have kind of a funny accent. It's not, we don't have an Irish accent. I mean, that's
Not yet. It'll
years.
come. Well, one of the things we spoke about in the prior episode is learning Irish. You never know. Maybe in due course you'll decide to take it up and have a couple of fuckle to actually be able to say hello in Irish or whatever. But
Yeah,
taking
I hope so. I mean, I was really surprised. One of the things that surprised me is there are on RTE, the television, several Irish channels. I mean, they're speaking,
yeah.
they're speaking the Irish.
Mm.
It's not Gaelic, they're speaking the Irish. That's different. That's what we've learned.
It is. There's little pockets of Ireland where people, as their first language, speak Irish on a day-to-day basis. There'd be quite a few of them around where you are. And yes, that the news is read at 6 o'clock in Irish on the English station, and then there is a dedicated channel. So yeah, from a cultural perspective, it's there. I suppose it's not the day-to-day language of the majority of Irish people, but it is definitely something that is a big part of Irish culture. So,
I hear Irish every day that I go out, which is fantastic because, they're keeping the language going.
mm,
And that, that is important for any country. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me at all. I do need to do some learning. I just think it's really great. It's grand.
you've got your theory test to learn for the time being, so I reckon you've enough on your plate. We'll catch up again maybe in 6 months or a year's time and we can have a conversation in Irish. You'll have to teach me. Marcus, there's so many things you said there that I just think people listening are going to go, wow, like what great tips. And I think the really good thing about having the chat is you haven't really been here for that long, really, but you've been working towards it for quite a while. So a lot of the like new things are like fresh in your head. I would love us to catch up again if you're willing to in 6 months or a year's time and hear how things have gone for you both, whether or not you decide to buy, what that looks like, what like actually assimilating has felt like that a year on. But yeah, I can't thank you enough. I think people are going to be very grateful that you shared those insights, and it's been a pleasure to chat to you. I could talk to you all afternoon.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, Stephanie. And it is, I'll just tell people don't give up, keep going, right? If you don't hear from Irish immigration for a month, no worries. That's normal, right? I mean, they are really, really busy. Don't get frustrated if you can't get things immediately. And, in America, we want things really fast and rapidly and in large quantities. You need to slow your pace down and you need to just take a walk around the neighborhood and talk to the locals. The locals will tell you that they will guide you. I'm learning so much from the locals. That really is better than the internet
Oh yeah, totally.
for us. I mean, about house prices and about this store and about this place. Crime, very, very low in Ireland. And so just come on over. Just do it. It's a wonderful country. It's wonderful people. It's wonderful sceneries. Come over and enjoy the rainbows.
Oh, that's going to be the title of the podcast. Come and see the rainbows. Honestly, thank you. I think you've got a career in this, Marcus. You're brilliant to talk to. Thank you so much. I really, really mean it. It's been great to talk to you, and I'm sure we'll be catching up again soon. We'll have to talk to you again in future on the podcast.
Sorted.
Thanks for listening to Tax Bytes for Expats. Please do leave a rating or review wherever you listen to your podcast. And as always, Remember to take professional tax advice specific to your personal circumstances before acting or refraining from action in connection with the matters dealt with in this series. The material in this podcast is intended to give general guidance only.